Bienvenue dans la première partie de la mission qui va se dérouler en Angleterre. N'oubliez pas de vous abonner et d'activer la cloche de notification. Vous pouvez aussi nous suivre sur notre serveur Discord, compte Instagram et compte Twitter qui se trouve en description. Bonne vidéo.
Nani?
Dans cette partie, je pense mourir 0 fois.
Et tu l'as fait plusieurs fois.
Celle-là, juste une fois.
Fall hard enough, you tend to be reminded of what truly matters.
Il est simple.
Un peu complexe quand même.
So, the end of the line. You ready for this?
Are you? Who will you be, without a score to settle?
Je fais des chips, donc j'essaie de pas trop
I guess the world's
matcher.
most wanted fugitive.
Sinon, ça fait...
Sinon nos abonnés vont me détester.
Oui.
Alexa Carlyle is dead. According to the funeral invitation, that is. So naturally, it caused quite a stir when the late matriarch turned up at the breakfast table, alive and kicking. Carlyle, wisely sensing that her number is up, has emerged from exile to tie up loose ends and secure the Carlyle legacy. She may be a monster, but you have to admire her due diligence. Carlyle descends from an ancient line of warrior aristocrats. Her great-grandfather made a killing in the Second Opium War.
Toujours se
and
méfier des petites
established
vieilles
an
de toute façon.
empire in shipping, railroads, and newspaper publishing. While largely unknown to the public, the family still asserts its quiet dominance over global transport and logistics, media, and technology. Most senior of the partners, Alexa Carlyle, is cold as ice, tough as nails, and sharp as a razor. Incidentally, it was her late father who first brought the three families together after the end of World War II at this very house, meaning that this gentleman is the birthplace of Providence.
It began here, and it ends here. Talk about poetic.
One more thing. According to our intel, Carlyle keeps a case file on the Constant. Information that may be helpful in his recapture, so don't leave the estate without it.
Right. Happy hunting, 47. See you on the other side.
Allez, c'est parti.
Une petite vieille.
Oh. Seulement. Bon alors, dans... Attends, je vais changer de costume, voir ce qu'il y a. Qu'est-ce qu'on prend?
Ouh, classe. Ah, costume de clown.
On va arriver comme ça. Vas-y. Pas le temps.
Pas les couilles.
Enfin, de toute façon, le clown il va nous servir juste pour rentrer. Après, faudra se déguiser en une autre personne.
Thornbridge Manor. The Carlyle family's home for countless
Ça me fait
generations.
penser un peu à American Horror Story là.
The
Le petit
Reverend
manoir comme ça.
and her three adult
Ah
children,
oui.
younger brother Zachary,
Mon
grandson
Noack,
and daughter-in-law,
manque plus que la bouffer.
all gathered to conduct Carlyle's sham funeral. Curiously, Carlyle's
Donc
son
la vieille, elle veut faire
died
croire qu'elle est
soon after
morte.
arriving this morning, but his purpose at Thornbridge
Et
is
elle a
yet
appelé un
unclear.
détective privé. Détective
Now,
privé
the
qu'on
target
va
knows
tuer
that you're
pour se
coming,
déguiser
and
en
her
lui.
guard detail is top-notch. So
Putain, ouais, elle a
Mr.
mis de la
Gray will
sécurité
secure
partout,
their nearby
voilà, meuf.
field HQ and intercept all calls
Bah, bien,
going
non.
in and out of the estate. Any appeal for backup is going to fall on very deaf ears.
Regarde-moi un clown qui arrive. N'importe quoi.
Sur une belle bécane.
Ouais, t'as vu ça? Rien à voir. Bon.
Tu pouvais pas te garer un peu plus loin.
Bah, y a des gardes, ils peuvent pas me voir.
Je suis caché.
C'est bien ta coupe de cheveux, ça va bien avec...
Avec le ouais, t'as vu? Ok. Donc, le mec qui va rentrer, on va pouvoir le buter ici.
un clown sous un pont.
Attends, il faut que j'avance encore un peu en vrai. Genre ici. Lui, il faut qu'il meure, je crois. Putain, merde.
C'est mal parti.
Genre les flics qui n'ont rien vu. Non mais les flics qui n'ont rien vu. Attends. Prendre l'abri. Pour le moment ça va. Oh, faut pas qu'elle me repère. Je fais juste un petit passage.
C'est tellement discret un clown sur un pont.
That is Phineas Whitmer, the famous private investigator hired by Madame Carlyle this
Vous ne
morning.
me voyez pas.
I'm curious why he's here.
Vous ne
Maybe you
me
should
voyez
do some
pas.
detecting yourself.
Vous ne me voyez pas. Putain, il me voit pas. Vous ne me voyez pas. Attends, je vais faire ça discret quand même. Et je vais pas laisser son corps là non plus. On va aller le jeter dans l'eau. Ah, je peux pas le jeter? Putain, je pouvais. Ah bah de toute façon, voilà. C'est bon, il est dans l'eau.
En discret.
Le gun, il faut le cacher. C'est bon. Et on rentre comme si de rien n'était. On voit le corps qui dépasse. Oh, putain, ouais, le corps, on voit qu'il dépasse quand même. Ouais, c'est pas grave. Allez, c'est parti.
On n'a rien vu.
Mr. Whitmer,
Oui,
thank God you're here. Can I take you to Madame Carlyle?
Yes, please.
If you'd follow me.
Je vous suis. Ah, d'accord, je vous suis.
I know I oughtn't say anything, but
Ah, tu me parles, mais
I'm
oui.
relieved you're here. Everything's just so strange. Preparing for Madame's funeral, and then she turns up alive. But then the awful business with her brother Zachary, and all this security. I've never seen the place guarded like this, and I dare say I don't like it at all. Well, this is what I mean.
Ah putain, j'ai mon gun, il faut que je le cache.
Super la cachette.
Bah écoute, j'en ai pas d'autres. Allez monsieur, palpez-moi comme j'aime bien.
Yeah, let me take a look.
Oh oui,
Just like the monkeys, right?
oh oui, ça c'est bien ça.
And you are good to go, sir. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Je ferme la porte.
Mr.
Bonjour.
Whitmer, thank you for coming on such short notice. A great tragedy has fallen upon us, and I need a
Bah vas-y,
quick
pousse-moi
resolution,
salope.
handled with absolute discretion.
Results and discretion are my speciality.
Very well. I suppose you will want to start at the crime scene.
In my
Toujours se méfier des
experience,
petites vieilles.
a thorough examination of a potential crime scene is half the job.
Regarde, ils ont des gardes différentes d'origine.
From here.
I am Mr. Fernsby, the butler.
Bonjour
Madame
monsieur.
Carlyle has asked me to assist you in any way possible.
Pour ça, un
Whitmer, I
majordome.
understand
Ouais.
that you've travelled from London. Would you care for some refreshments? Or do you prefer to go straight to Mr.
Non,
Zachary's
je vais commencer direct par
I
l'enquête.
prefer to get started.
As you wish. If you'll follow me, sir.
Je vous suis.
Voilà. J'ai pas suivi le truc.
Toi t'es un BG. Bah, en gros, il faut enquêter sur un meurtre qui s'est passé dans ce
I feel
manoir.
obliged to point out that current affairs surrounding Madame Carlyle are of a delicate nature.
Mais F5,
You
non?
may be familiar with the recent announcement of her
Lol.
death. You'll probably learn that the staged funeral is scheduled to take place tomorrow. Madame's children were not informed until this morning that their mother
Je
was
passe devant toi
not
parce que je suis un
at
fils de
all.
pute.
So please bear with them if they seem affected by the rather unusual situation.
T'es un BG toi.
I trust I do not need to remind you.
Oh ça va, calme-toi.
Consequences if word gets out
Ça veut que
that
gag.
Carlyle is still alive.
I'll consider her dead when I leave.
Before you inspect the
Je m'étire un peu. Ah,
will tell you this. The case concerns the death of Mr. Zachary, Madame Carlyle's younger brother. He was found dead
Oh pardon.
in his bed this
Oh, excusez-moi.
morning. The door was locked from the inside, and a suicide letter was found in his room. However, Madame Carlyle suspects foul play and will not accept that he took his own life.
Ok.
I've prepared some information for you, so please do come and see me when you've finished your investigation of the crime scene.
Ok,
This is
allez.
Mr. Zachary's room.
Pour un enquêteur, le majordome?
A locked room murder mystery 47.
Ok, on doit
I trust
enquêter.
you'll get to the bottom of this. Why don't you use your
Oula.
camera to scan the dead
Oh.
body 47?
Quel
Il
joli
est mort
corps.
depuis combien de temps?
Je sais pas, on va le savoir. Il faut prendre une photo. Ah ouais.
Oh.
Throat markings indicate a rare, short-lived plant poison killed him.
Ah, il a été mort à cause d'un
Spread shows time of death at
hier
around
soir à
10
22
o'clock
h.
last night.
You do know your poisons, 47.
Ok, il faut trouver des indices. Whisky scanné. Ça va nous servir à quoi du whisky scanné? Une bouteille de whisky avec un autre.
Du poison dedans.
Ah bah oui, mais oui.
Méfie un peu, hein.
Bravo, inspecteur Laura. Lettre de suicide de Zachary.
Zachary's suicide note. Also, a sample of handwriting. It could be relevant to compare to other samples to establish its authenticity.
On va vérifier avec autre chose si c'est sa vraie écriture. Parce que je pense pas que ça soit un suicide. Je crois qu'il n'y a pas d'autres preuves. Genre d'indices.
Un livre en jaune.
Oh.
Oh.
Une porte.
Je te jure, c'est un jour. Je rachète une maison, je fais ça direct. Hein.
Mais oui. T'as regardé tout, on peut voir à travers le plan de l'étage du manoir.
A photocopy of the floor plans. Somebody's been researching the secret ins.
Pièce secrète dans la pièce secrète.
I believe you've done a thorough
Ah non, ça amène
search of the
dans le
crime
couloir,
scene,
ok.
47. Maybe it's time to see the butler. I'm curious about the information he's prepared for you.
Ok. Attends, il y a l'ordi. Attends, il y a un ordinateur. On va aller voir si... qu'est-ce qu'il y a. Vérifier les informations.
Zachary was
Oh, il était
shot
sur
with
Amazon.
Wellingtons
Bon.
last night. Not exactly what you would expect from someone suicidal.
Bah ouais. Il s'est pas suicidé le mec, il est mort d'un poison. On va aller revoir le...
Des colis, tu fais pas ça. Hein.
Non, non, non. On va revoir le majordome. Hop, ça c'est pour moi. Oh putain. Avec un plumeau. Je suis tellement bonne.
Ah ouais. Je suis jalouse.
Hop. Non, c'est pas l'évêque que je voulais ouvrir. Je vais reprendre mon plumeau. Y'a rien du tout. Du coup, le majordome il est en bas. Et pour redescendre. Putain, retrouver la sortie ici, enfin les escaliers. C'est un calvaire.
Promène avec le plumeau d'ailleurs.
Ah, mais j'aime bien le plumeau. T'es jalouse?
Oh.
Putain, les photos de famille là des années. Ah non, c'est pas toi le majordome, où es-tu? Ah, tu es là. Bonjour.
Mr. Fernsby, I'm done with the crime scene.
Did you establish a time of death?
Zachary died around 10 o'clock last night.
Well, that means the staff were off duty. And Madame Carlyle and her security didn't arrive until this morning. That leaves Madame's family and myself as the only persons here when he died. And before you ask, no, I do not have an alibi.
Vous n'avez pas
I was
d'alibi.
alone in my office at the time of death. Here's the material that I've prepared for you. It's a list of the possible suspects and their quarters. Hopefully that will help you keep track of your findings. Please come and see me when you've solved the case, and I will take you to Madame Carlyle.
C'est trop le devoir qui était partout.
This is very useful information, 47.
Donc voici les suspects. Oui, on va les
So how
interroger,
does
hein,
one
Michel.
solve a murder mystery, 47? Motive, means, and opportunity, I believe. May I suggest you ask the suspects for alibis? Or perhaps you prefer searching the manor for clues first?
On va les interroger. D'abord toi.
Gregory Carlyle, can you tell me where you were yesterday evening?
Oh, you're wondering about my alibi, Mr. Detective. Well, I left Thornbridge around 8:30 for a pint with Edward. I wish I hadn't. Quiz night at the inn. On the other hand, staying here with Zachary, my obnoxious sister, and the wife sporting another one of her headaches would have been a fate worse than death. The short of it, Zachary was very much alive when we left. I stayed for the last shout and I was back here just before midnight. Is that all? Not very thorough, are you?
Ok, se renseigner.
Tell me about Zachary.
Zach? Huh. Such a sad old sod. A bit heavy on the bottle. But who could blame him? The only company he had was his rare plants and mother, who travels more than she stays here. Honestly, I can't say which is the bigger bore. He's better off dead. Anything else
J'aime pas savoir.
Anything else you
Ça me manque les voix de racaille de Watch Dog.
I'm just enjoying the show. Our perfect mother obviously fucked up, didn't she? Faking her own death. You know, she's explained nothing to us. I think she's scared to own up to her own mistake.
Non, c'est une autre suspecte, elle.
Merde.
Emma Carlisle, can you tell me where you were yesterday evening?
Surely I'm not a suspect.
I need to account for everyone.
Well,
Puis des bonnes
I
femmes, ma
spent the
petite
evening
dame.
with my family, but I got an awful migraine and had to take to bed. Everyone can attest to that. I believe I went up when the boys sat down for a drink around 8 o'clock. Anything else you want to know?
How did you feel about Zachary?
I might as well be honest. His presence was always awkward. But how do you have a meaningful conversation with a man who only cares about plants? In my opinion, Alexa bears some responsibility for how this ended. She supported his self-limiting behavior by letting him live here. Is that all?
Have you noticed anything else out of the ordinary?
Nothing special comes to mind. Except, perhaps, I did get a feeling that Zachary was depressed, not just sad. I suppose he realized that he had no one with Alexa gone. Even Alexa must feel the pangs of guilt over that one, letting him believe she was dead. Then again, guilt isn't her strong suit.
Ok. Ah, là, il y a un truc. Quoi, c'est le cadre? Est-ce qu'il a d'intéressant, le cadre? Ok. J'ai un autre truc là. Ah, des empreintes de pas. C'est des bottes.
Des petites... C'est des petits pieds. Putain.
Ah ouais.
Ça, c'est un petit 34, hein.
Rebecca Carlisle, can you tell me about yesterday evening?
We don't really see much of each other, my brothers and I. I suppose it takes our mother's funeral to bring us together, and even then, it's not like we sit on each other's laps. Now, let's see. Patrick, Gregory's son, disappeared straight after dinner. You know, I think he might be in some sort of trouble. Edward wanted to go as well, but Gregory convinced him to stay for a few drinks before they went off for a pint at the local at 9:15. I swear Gregory enjoys Edward's discomfort over staying here. I had a conference call with my New York office at 9, so I spent 3 hours on my laptop in my room and went straight to bed afterwards. I don't know about Emma. She did act a bit strange.
Il va regarder les pieds de tout le monde.
You know, I bet she was making lists for changes needing to be done once she gets her hands on Thornbridge Manor. Quite the shock she had when Mother arrived during breakfast. Is there anything else you want to...
Tell me about Zachary. Did he act strange?
Il a même pas laissé le temps de finir sa phrase.
Je lui ai coupé la parole.
He wanted to know about my connections in the publishing business. Apparently, a friend of his is writing a book, which strikes me as very peculiar. I didn't think he had any friends. Is that everything, Mr. Whitmer?
Anything else you feel like mentioning?
I may be wrong, but I saw Mr. Fernsby, the butler, leave Zachary's room early this afternoon. And he seemed a bit startled when he saw me in the hallway. It's probably nothing. Oh, and one more thing. Please be kind to Edward. He can only take so much.
Intéressant.
Is there anything else you want to ask me?
Non, plus rien. Tu peux t'en aller, ma vieille. Donc j'ai interrogé. Ah mais regarde ses chaussures, hein. Il a des chaussures normales.
What if he believes we had something to do with Zachary's death?
Ok, attends, qu'est-ce qui reste à interroger? Patrick Carré. Il est où lui? Où es-tu? Ah, il y en a un là.
Professor Edward Carlisle, Can you tell me your whereabouts for last night?
Oh, yes, this dreadful business with Zachary. I stay at the local inn. You see, I prefer not to spend the night here at Thornbridge Manor. My brother Gregory came along for a nightcap. He'll never admit it, but I think he understands that I find this whole thing upsetting and wanted to provide some comfort. I believe we went to the Stag's Head around 8:30. If that's all, I have...
Can you tell me about Zachary's behavior last night?
I certainly didn't expect him to commit suicide. Sure, he was upset by Mother's supposed death. We were. But he seemed more engaged than usual. You should ask Rebecca, they had a long talk. Did you know that he hadn't left Thornbridge Manor in nearly 50 years? His plants, Mother, and the staff, all the company he had. Anything else I can do to help?
Did you notice anything else out of the ordinary?
You mean apart from the fact that we came here to bury our mother and she shows up alive and kicking? Zachary found dead in his bed this morning, or perhaps that the planned funeral is still taking place and I have to do the eulogy.
Putain, c'est tous la mère de tout le monde. Waouh.
Et mère.
Putain, c'est vraiment des bourgeois, quoi. Attends, là, il y a une preuve, là.
J'adore. Ah, le bâtard.
Bon, il nous reste qui? Le jeune, je crois. Il nous reste le jeune. Il faut trouver le jeune. En plus, il part tout seul, le mec, il est un peu fou. Ah voilà le dernier. Je crois que c'est le dernier, je pense. Bon oui mec, j'ai besoin de te parler, arrête un peu de jouer au billard. Non mais tu vas pas lui parler, j'ai besoin de te parler.
Pourquoi il essaie de draguer la meuf?
Ouais, j'avoue.
Patrick Carlisle, can you tell me where you were yesterday evening?
Que j'aime pas les gosses de riches.
He ratted me out. Elaine, give us some privacy, would you?
Hey, t'as le majordome qui parle.
Okay. She's really tense these days, and the last thing I need is more hassle. I took that pretty blonde, Rosie, for an evening stroll. I mean, how the fuck am I expected to cope for an entire weekend in this shithole? I'm bored out of my mind. So, is that it?
What did you think of Zachary?
Creepy as hell. No ambition. Imagine deciding to live in a museum. You know, Father says Zachary and Alexia used to be two of a kind. He had a great future ahead of him. Then suddenly, he just gave up everything. What an idiot. Thank God Daddy chose looks and brains over pedigree when he married Mummy. I don't have to worry about the inbreeding so customary in these circles. If that's all, I think I'll get back to my slow death by ball.
Did you see anything suspicious last night?
No. I reckon Zachary topped himself. I know I would.
Ouais, non, je crois pas.
Or perhaps Mr. Fernsby. I don't like him.
Détective Héra
Okay,
a déjà trouvé la solution.
Interroger tout le monde, je crois. Attends, alors. Alibi confirmé pour lui. Ok, bon. On va chercher. Hein. On va voir si... Il faudra...
Rebecca? Yes.
Qui lui?
He's insistent that one.
Un garde du corps.
She kept asking all kinds of questions. Who had the other one? Why I gave it to her, that sort of thing. You did make sure she didn't see you give the other one to the butler?
Oh, of course.
C'est quoi les renseignements? D'après les gardes du corps, Rebecca et Monsieur Fernsby, le majordome ont tous les deux reçu de jetons. En combinant les jetons, on peut accéder à un coffre particulier de la banque. Celui-ci contiendrait une copie du dossier sur Arthur Hogwarts. Intéressant. On peut après regarder. Ok, clé de corbillard, je sais pas à quoi ça me sert. Ok.
This affects me too, you know.
Merde, j'avais une preuve dans la maison. C'est quoi? Ah, ça.
Non, discret.
J'avoue. En même temps, je suis détective. Qu'est-ce qu'il y a? Information sur des actifs de Carlis. Ok. Hop. Je vais aller voir là-bas.
Mais librement.
Bad news, I'm afraid. We don't have any extra fuses. Ethel looked everywhere.
You've got to. No power, no
Claire anglaise. Non putain, il faut que j'aille à l'intérieur de ce truc.
I don't believe for a second that Zachary committed suicide. We'd only just run through his plan for the spring seedlings yesterday.
Yes, sure. But he was upset believing his sister was dead.